Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. It's January the 1st. It's good to be back after such a long time, isn't it, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Did you have a nice Christmas and New Year?
Yeah. It was good, actually. Christmas was really good. I think we went out last night to an Italian restaurant in Hornchurch and didn't have a late one. We sort of got back, and I'll tell you the highlight last night, I'm not being funny, was watching the top 100 TikTok videos that was on telly between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning. It was hilarious. It was brilliant. Some of the people who use that platform, they're just geniuses. They're geniuses. Stuff they do.
Yeah,
Good
genius.
evening, everybody in the chat. Happy New Year to you all. And Claire and Bodger, the two, one mean, one not so mean, moderators. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to get through, because today is day one of the transfer window, which runs from today until January the 31st. It's very, very tidy and convenient. Before we go there, though, I just want to draw your attention to the audio podcast that we do as part of this. Every show we do is put out as an audio podcast. It's all free. You can subscribe to the Bobby Moore stand on on any podcast platform that you use, really, with Spotify, Apple, whatever. We haven't been putting any audio podcast specific content out, but we are going to now. When we do a live show like this, we're just going to do a 10, 20 minute extra time bit at the end, because the good thing about audio podcasts is you can just talk openly, and you can turn the cameras off and relax a little bit. So we're going to do that. That'll be exclusive. So if you want to hear that, please go and subscribe to the audio podcast as well. You will get all these shows and you'll get extras as well. So there we go. Let's get on with it. Loads to get through. First of all, let's get this one out of the way, because I know it upset some people, and it didn't really upset me, and that is David Moyes, OBE, in the King's New Year's honours list for services to football. I think he's managed. He's probably he's been dealt quite a difficult hand over the years, if you think about it. He's managed Everton, from relative obscurity down the bottom of the table. He got them into Europe. He got them to a cup final. Then he managed us for several years. He failed at Man U. He failed at Sunderland. But then again, everyone fails at Man U. But 1,100 games, largely in the top flight, is quite an achievement. And I think when you consider what other people get an OBE for, I think it's deserved, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't really see why people get annoyed, David Moyes winning it. I mean, that's a lot of, as you say, it's a lot of games. He's had a long career managing, top teams. So, yeah, fair play to him. I suppose the only thing that annoys me, and I think I said to you the other day, is how he's always popping up on my bloody feed. Always coming up. I can't escape David Moyes, but fair play to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's done well. The guy's got longevity for sure. And like we said last week, one of the big frustrations about Lopetegui is you don't really know what he's trying to do. No one really gets it. But I think people, even though likes of me, didn't really like his brand of football, you knew what you were getting with Moyes. If you hire him, you know what you're getting. And he does deliver what he promises to deliver, pretty much. So there you go. Enough of Moyes. Let's talk about current stuff, because hopefully he'll never be current again. The disaster of the Jared Bowen injury. And that looked, I mean, when I saw that in real time, I don't know about you, Chris, but the game, it looked painful. The guy wrapped his leg around him, didn't he? And I don't know whether it's deliberate. I've not seen a replay because I still refuse to watch that game back. What do you think about that? Was that deliberate or what? Or clumsy?
Well, I was surprised at the time, because for me it was a clear foul. I mean, a clear foul. I don't even know if he got a foul for it. Certainly, I think it was McAllister, wasn't it? So he didn't. I don't even think he got a card for it. But there was no question in my mind. It was a definite foul. It was a bit of a nasty challenge. So, yeah, I mean, it's a massive loss to us. Let's be honest. I mean, it's the last thing we need right now. Obviously, with regards to Antonio being out and now having Bowen out. It's not ideal, is it? And realistically, I mean, we don't know how big the fracture is, but you'd think a bare minimum between six to maybe 8 weeks, and that's a long time. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him big time. He always delivers a 7 out of 10 performance. Even when he has a bad game, it's usually a good game compared to some of the others. He's always likely to score a goal or create something as well. I mean, it was him that popped up with that goal. Great little assist from Fulkrug, but he was in the right place at the right time behind him, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he's always involved. He's always involved in pretty much most things that we do in terms of the build-up, or at least get on the end of a chance. So, yeah, it's a huge loss. But a question for you, actually. I wonder what, because I've just suddenly occurred to me. Who's going to be our captain in the interim?
I don't know who the vice captain is. I'm guessing it's someone like Cresswell. I don't know. I mean, the armband is given, believe it or not, to Paqueta. Paqueta took the armband the other day, which I found really surprising. I I don't get that at all. Very strange. But yeah, I don't know. He's just growing into that captaincy, but I think it did affect his form to start with at the beginning of the season, but
Yeah.
for a few games, and then he grew into it, and he just started continuing to deliver like he always does. And so, uh, you know, uh, uh, that is, there are a few players in our team who give it their all every single game. One of them is
Mm.
Souček, who we missed in the last game without a shadow of a doubt, because you had a load of half-hearted players in the middle there, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we need those who are going to go balls out and really give it their all, irrespective of who's manager. Otherwise, we've got no chance. And I think now we're going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking that way. It is looking that way. But I mean, in all honesty, I think irrespective of who actually gets the captaincy, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference because I think they've been lacking from a leadership point of view anyway this season. I do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe giving it to someone like Kilman would make sense. But it's funny because I know he was captain at Wolves, but he doesn't seem to be particularly overly vocal. Like you can't. I mean, I sit right behind him and I don't really hear him shouting, mate. I don't.
No.
He's very, very quiet. So that's kind of quite important to make sure we get the captaincy right because we do need right now. We need a leader on that pitch. It's absolutely pivotal to us moving into 2025. But who the heck's that going to be? Who's that going to be? Don't know.
Not a clue.
Paqueta can't be Paqueta. He can't be the kind of the short term 1-2 month solution because I mean he can barely speak English. I mean it's almost laughable. He's only just learnt to speak English, isn't he? But he can't be captain. Are we doing it just based on longevity? Well, if so, then maybe Souček should be captain. I don't know. Maybe Souček is vice captain. It's just so it happens that he wasn't playing the other day.
God knows. It's a strange one on me. I don't know. To not know that, I think we should know it, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Apart from that, in the last couple of days, as predicted by the angry little short that I put out, amazing how anger seems to appeal to people. But there you go. I was angry, so there. But Sullivan, he said he's going to give Lopetegui more time, 2 more games to be precise. We don't know what 2 games he's referring to, whether it's 2 league games, whether it's 2 games at all, whether it's 2 league games, or whether it's 2 games, as in the next one against City, where we're almost definitely going to get mullered. And then we've got Aston Villa that we're going to next Friday, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it is the next 2 games, then you might as well just go now. I mean, we spoke about this the other day. I just personally don't see him being sacked at the moment. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I just can't see it happening, mate. Can't. No, I just don't see it happening unless we're in real danger. Real danger, and we're kind of teetering on the brink of kind of the relegation zone, which we're not actually that far away from if you bear in mind the games we've got coming up and we lose those games. I can't see him going. I think if he managed to kind of, get the odd win every 3 or 4 games, I just see him staying until the end of the season and the season just dying out. I can just honestly see that happening. But, I hope I'm totally wrong in that respect. I know there's links to various managers again, but how much do you take into account, what's being said out there in social media, and various news outlets? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm with you on that. I don't really trust Sullivan in any way, shape, or form to do the right thing. He has been using Sean Whetstone quite a lot to get his messages out in the last couple of days. That was one of his first messages, and then on New Year's Eve, just as we're about to welcome in the new year, they put the accounts out for the year ending May 2024. So this is including the the summer after the Conference League win, if you like. And it came up. We made a 57 million profit. But Sean then tweeted, "Oh, don't start thinking we've got money, basically, because we still owe 60 to 80 million on players that we need to pay." But that to me is normal. You always have outstanding debt on the balance sheet for players because no one pays in full for players up front now. You pay in instalments over 3 seasons or whatever the term of the contract is. So I think that's nonsense, to be honest. Also, New Year's Day, this morning, again, Sean puts out that we're looking for 100 million for Kudus or more, the world's worst kept secret. It seems that Arsenal are looking at Isaac, the Newcastle striker. They want to buy him. So I think their interest has cooled in Kudus. So if he's going to go anywhere, it's probably going to be Liverpool, and it's probably going to be in a cut price deal. It ain't going to be 100 million. I think you were right when you said that's just the opening negotiation price, probably going to be 80 to 85 million. Whoever gets him, they get a wholehearted caduce. They've got a wonderful player there, but he ain't a wonderful player for us anymore. He was. We had the best out of him in that season, didn't we? But, he's basically saying, those combination of those few messages from Sean together, he's saying, unless we sell, we can't buy. We'll go through the transfer links, because day one of the transfer window, I think I've got 18 to 20 links so far, and you've got a few things you want to say about that as well. So we'll save that till later in the show to go through all of those. And also we're going to go through the 2024 overview, which is statistically not very good, terrible. And you've got some Moyes v Lopetegui facts as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Some other interesting things that came out of they gaslight so much, this board. And as part of the accounts, they've done it. They've put these standard messages into the summary of the accounts for the last couple of years. And this is just nauseating. It makes your skin crawl. It says, for the year ending 31st of May 2024, the loyalty displayed by the club's fan base, indicated by the high level of season ticket renewals for the 2024-25 season, gives us one of the highest numbers of season ticket holders in the Premier League, putting the club in a strong position as we move forward. Despite our recent success, in line with our values and commitment to our community, the club continues to offer the cheapest adult season ticket and one of the cheapest junior season tickets in the Premier League, which is aligned to our objective to make London Stadium what a load of old bollocks. Anyway, so what they've done is they continue to play this trick of, it's true. You can't say it's not true, because they will offer a small handful of 99 quid season tickets and a very small handful of very cheap, up in the gods behind the goals adult tickets. But that is it. And that allows them to do this, to play this con trick of saying they've got the cheapest season tickets in the league, because officially they have. But really, the truth of the situation is no. We're comparable. We're comparable and more expensive than most other clubs, apart from a few London rivals like Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Nothing to add to that, but you're absolutely bang on, mate.
Yeah, so it's nauseating reading it, but there you go. And they said they consult with fans all the time. Now, again, these are holding statements that they place in every set of accounts. They consult with, no, they don't. They consult with this special little group of fans who they all have to sign NDAs, and they're not allowed to go public with anything that's discussed. Only the club can summarise what the fans have said and agreed to, and then they go and say, this is the view of the fans.
Do you get
20 fans?
So I get emails sent to me on a regular basis, Gal. Basically asking me to complete surveys and asking me exact questions around this in terms of, my experiences at London Stadium and around ticket prices and all that kind of stuff. So I would assume that they are basing some of that off of what they send out to a lot of the season ticket holders. I don't know if you get that, but I do. And I do answer it as well. I always answer it.
There was one survey I got recently, but I don't know what it was. I can't remember. I think I filled it in. They also said that we're the 16th richest club in the world, down from 15th the year before. And this was a stat that Bodger, one of the moderators in here, has shared with me earlier, that we're actually the seventh. We've got, on average, the seventh highest attendance in, is it Europe or world football? Let me have a look.
I'd imagine it's Europe. It must be Europe.
I'm gonna get it up here. Hang on. Sorry, I should have uploaded this graphic. Highest average attendances in 2024 across the world.
Oh, is it really? Wow. Okay.
Borussia Dortmund 1, 81,000. Munich 2, 75. Man United 3, 73. Inter Milan 72. AC Milan 71. Real Madrid 69. Roma 62, 768. West Ham 8th place. 62, 352. 8th place in world football, the 8th biggest crowd in world football, with almost no success. Yeah, pretty amazing, really. Pretty amazing. I should have uploaded that graphic so that you could all see it. But
we may have the 8th highest attendance, Gal, but it'd be interesting to understand, and this is a whole different debate and topic, how many of that 60-odd thousands represents, the kind of the day trippers as opposed to the proper fans?
Because I'd love to see that breakdown. Yeah. I'd love to see that breakdown and see the numbers of tickets that are resold, because I think in the year before's accounts that I had a look at, they were saying that 3,500 and something tickets were resold. That's got to be much, much higher now, because you hardly ever, if you go over there regularly, you hardly ever see the same people. There's certain people who go to every game, but there's lots who just don't.
Yeah.
It's different people every time. So they must be selling them either privately. I wouldn't suggest they would, or they're selling them through the club scheme.
Mate, there's a few people around me that are season ticket holders.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that they probably go, some of them maybe 3-4 games a season, and the rest they play sell. Or they don't go.
Yeah.
But predominantly sell, because we do tend to see quite a few of those tourist day trippers, whatever you want to call them, sitting around us. And there are some people that you recognise, but more often than not, they're resold to fans that absolutely aren't West Ham, they're neutrals. You can tell because when you get people filming, like say for instance when we were playing Liverpool the other week, there was a guy, I don't know, 4 or 5 seats away from me, and he was filming all of the Liverpool corners. And like, you ain't doing that if you're a West Ham fan. Do you know what I mean? There's no chance in the world you can be filming the Liverpool goals potentially. But he was doing that. I don't think he was particularly supporting either club, because he wasn't celebrating or smiling or anything like that when Liverpool was scoring. So I was looking over to see, is he a Liverpool fan? But he was just a complete neutral, just there just to take. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong. Look, I get it. We've all been to grounds of teams that we don't support. We're totally impartial. But even so, it's incredibly frustrating when you see that. You want to see West Ham supporters around you. The Bobby Moore. Of course you do.
I think there are certain stands where I think it should be absolutely West Ham fans only.
Yeah.
And, I think the lower tiers behind the goal and down the sides, I think they should be closed off to neutral or away fans. There's no way they should be able to get their hands on those tickets. If they should be given tickets anywhere, it should be in the far reaches up in the God. Let them video from there. They get much better video. Because it just dilutes the atmosphere over there, doesn't it?
It does. It totally does, mate. It totally does.
Yeah. Right, so let's go through a few comments before we do that. I might do an experiment towards the end of this show as well. And when we're talking about Man City, I might just put the chat overlay up so that, and if we do that, people, be careful what you put, because it's just going to appear straight in the video. It's going to come up. But I'm just going to go through, so I'm not going to go back all the way. Right. Oh, everyone wishing each other a happy new year, like you'd expect. Right, yes. If you could press the like button, please, if you wouldn't mind. Hang on a minute. I'm just trying to find something that's worth talking about. It's everybody just wishing each other a happy new year, which you would expect on New Year's Day. This is quite an interesting one, I guess. Imagine if Fulkrug gets injured again, leaves us with Danny Ings only. Yeah, bit grim. I imagine this means that Souček is the vice captain, which I think, given what's happened in this season so far, I think that's the right choice. That's the right choice.
I think a few people are commenting on that, and I think it is. Yeah, but bearing in mind he wasn't playing against Liverpool, I think he would have had that captaincy armband, when Bowen went off. So yeah.
Carrick rumour is BS. I reckon says Obsidian Curse. Can't see Diddy Dave paying compo. No, of course he won't. It don't really matter about the age. He won't pay compensation, will he? Okay, what else we got? Souček will get the armband. Yeah, we got that one. It says Cresswell is vice captain, but Souček should be captain.
I think Cresswell, well,
he was vice captain last under Noble, wasn't he?
I don't know. I can't remember, mate. To be honest with you, no, he wasn't. It was Declan Rice, wasn't he? Declan Rice was vice captain under Noble, I believe, and then he took over the captaincy after Noble, kind of retired. Yeah, he may have been vice captain to Noble prior to Deckers. I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah. This is common feeling, I think, amongst fans. I don't believe a word that comes out of Sully's mouth. The thing is, we never hear it out of Sully's mouth, do we? We hear it via Sean, and he puts his little positive spin on it. What we got here, 28 says, my grandfather was rewarded the alias OBE due to his acts behind firing bullets from his Browning pistol behind victims' ears. OBE, one behind the ear. Right, okay. Guys, it's Man City and Villa in the Cup. Don't be surprised if this board give him Fulham to save. Well, the thing is, these games come up bang, bang, bang now, don't they? So we've got the next one, which is Saturday, and then we've got Friday, Villa, and then we've got the 14th, which is Fulham.
Yeah.
So that's on the Monday or the Tuesday, and then I think on the Saturday we've got Palace. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they keep giving him extra games and the narrative changes, or we're unlucky there and all that sort of stuff.
I would imagine up to the Palace game, Gal, because
Yeah.
take the Villa game out of the equation. I would imagine it will be Man City, Fulham, Palace. Those three games are going to be the ones that are going to define him.
I think what he does is, though, I think he says 2 games and then he'll interpret it how he likes. So I don't think anyone can really, again, people are saying are probably at home to Fulham and Palace. That's what I saw as the 2 pivotal games, to be honest, because he's probably not even considering that we're going to get a result up at Man City, right?
No.
Just that we don't get embarrassed, but boy, we're going to get embarrassed there. He will cherry pick Andy. Of course he will. Of course he will. Kudus could go to Saudi. This is Dad's Our Job podcast. Well, I don't know. Have we had an offer from Saudi for him, or have they even shown interest?
There was noise about it at the start of the season, and I think there's been some kind of like mutterings about it on social media as well. But again, how much do you take into account what's actually being said on there? I don't. I really don't. Until it happens, it's kind of like, I'll take it with a pinch of salt.
No, fair enough. Garino's Kudus should go on the right, only place to be. Yeah, he should. Of course he should. I think he needs to go on the right. Somerville needs to go on the left. I think Somerville did quite well when he came on against Liverpool. Liverpool were not really trying that hard at the time. But I also liked what Irving brought to the team. And he's only going to be a bit part player, Irving, but it was interesting to see that he came on and showed a lot more initiative than, the players that went off. Got a cross in straight. It was a beautiful cross, wasn't it? Straight onto Kudus's head. Within seconds.
Yeah, one thing I found quite interesting, just talking about Irving quickly. So have you seen those videos on social media, Gal, what people film outside of the Ross Green training ground of the players coming out in their cars? Have you seen that?
No.
It's quite funny, right? So I was watching it the other day, and it may have only been taken 3-4 days ago, I guess. And you see all the usual players coming out in their Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Mercedes and so on. And then you see Andy Irving coming out, and he's got a Nissan Juke. No, by the way, nothing wrong with a Nissan Juke, but the reason I'm kind of bringing it up, sometimes it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like the mentality of a football player, one that's got a stack load of money, that basically maybe doesn't necessarily try as much as kind of the untested players, which is perhaps why someone like Irving will come in and work his socks off, because he hasn't made it by any stretch of the imagination, right? Particularly in the Premier League. So I don't know, maybe there's that piece as well, right? That makes them kind of try that a little bit much harder, because they're not, part of the team really as such.
Yeah, I know. Peter Chelmsford saying Blackpool went down after getting 28 points from 19 games. They did drop through the floor, though, didn't they? They dropped through the floor. There's no to say we might not. We might drop through the floor. In terms of lineup, with Bowen out for 8 weeks, at least Somerville could use Fulkrug and possibly Guillermo. Yeah, apart from Guillermo, he's probably not going to get a chance, is he? I don't know, Randy. Right. Let's see if there's any from down there. Right, let's go through, Chris, the 2024 review and the Moyes and Loppe comparison. Go on, do you want to drop?
Yeah, okay. So I must admit, I read all of this online, and it didn't surprise me, because we all know that 2024 has not been a great year for us. It hasn't been. So here are the kind of the core sort of salient facts, right? So 2024 calendar year, we had 48 games that we played. All right.
Yeah.
Of those 48, we won 12. Okay, 12 games overall, home and away.
12 out of 48.
12 out of 48. All right, 7 home wins and 5 away wins in that year. All right. So this is where it gets quite interesting when you kind of break down the actual number of goals, okay, that we scored. So we scored in 2024 59 goals. All right. That 59 represents what is the least amount of goals West Ham has scored since 2019, right? So the last 4.5 years. All right. Let's talk about goals conceded. And this is the bit that really is kind of really eye-opening. And I think it puts into context how bad a situation we're in right now, particularly obviously defensively, right? So we conceded 90 goals over the course of 2024. All right. That is the most amount of goals we've conceded in a single year since 1967. And there's only 3 teams across all 4 divisions in 2024 that conceded more. So one was Luton Town, and they got relegated from the Championship. The other was, I think it was maybe Carlisle. I think they got relegated from League One. And then you've got Morecambe, who finished 24th in League Two, right? So those kind of stats make you realise how bad defensively we are, how bad we were under Moyes in 2024 up until he left, but also how we've not even fixed that problem. like obviously since Lopetegui took over. And you factor in that we've brought in obviously new individuals to play in defence. It just hasn't worked, right? That's the concerning thing. So 2024, by all accounts, awful year. I mean, really, really bad year for West Ham. And you kind of need to kind of look at Moyes versus Lopetegui in that as well, because you can't just say that's all down to Lopetegui. It's obviously both managers, right? Had a factor in this. So let me go through some of the detail here as well, right? Yeah. Right, okay, wins per game. Moyes 0.37 versus 0.31, which is Lopetegui. Okay, Moyes had a better, higher win ratio than Lopetegui did in 2024. In terms of goals scored per game, Moyes 1.46 goals per game in 2024 versus 1.21 goals scored per game under Lopetegui. All right, so we're scoring less goals, okay, and we're winning less games. Goals conceded per game. What do you think on this one, Gal? Who do you think's winning on this?
Conceded per game.
Yes,
I think that one's really tight, I would say, but I'd give it to, I think Lopetegui's winning on that.
Yeah. So Moyes 1.52 goals conceded per game in 2024 versus Lope 1.84. So actually, it's considerably higher. All right. Again, it goes back to the problems that we have in defence. And here's some kind of other detail around it, right? So on average, we create one more chance per game than we did under Moyes. So I'm talking about the changes that have been evident. You look at the statistics since Lopetegui's taken over. Since he's taken over, we only create one more chance per game on average. All right. We absolutely give the opponent more chances than we did under Moyes. Okay. We also face around 2.5 shots more per game than we did under Moyes in 2024. All right. Let's talk about defensive errors over 2024 as well. Moyes versus Lope. Moyes 0.29 defensive errors versus 0.74 defensive errors per game. Yeah, right. Wow. Progressive passes, which is something that we really wanted to see increase, right? Moving into the new era under Lopetegui, it's pretty much on par, mate. It's equal by the decimal point. It's minor. It's very much equal.
So really, the Moyes stats that you're reading out there were not good stats anyway, but they're actually better. But they're actually better than Lopetegui.
Yeah, they are. In some cases they are, particularly when you talk about the goals conceded per game, wins per game, obviously slightly better as well. But here's the thing. So we talk about what's changed since Lopetegui's taken over. Okay, so we may have, we've got equal amount of progressive passes per game. So that's not really changed. Yeah. If you look on average, we've increased our possession percentage by only 3% since Lopetegui took over. Now that's 3%. This is on average over 2024, right? That's a really interesting one because I must admit I thought it'd be higher than that. I did think it would be higher than that, but it's not. It's only 3%.
So he's literally added nothing, but he's taken quite a lot away.
Well, what he's added, right? I'll let me continue and we'll go through this, right? So on average, we create one more chance per game than we did under Moyes. Okay.
Yeah.
And we typically have 2 shots per game than under Moyes. So if you look at just the core stats here, this is what's changed since Lopetegui's taken over. We get 2 shots more in a game. We create typically one more chance in a game, and our possession has increased by 3%. Other than that, everything else has been considerably worse.
But that's not shots on target. That's just shots, right?
Yeah.
Because the shots on target is tiny, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But regardless, you can look at that data, mate, and you can say, "Wow, it's been a massive regression, and a total and utter chaotic first half of the season under Lopetegui that ultimately really kind of defines how much of a problem we have at the club right now. How much of a problem we have in that team, because there has been 0 improvements, none whatsoever.
Yeah, no, well. We knew that with our own eyes, but to be honest, listening to it in stats form, it's awful, isn't it? Because he has bought a new style, but it's really been completely ineffective. I mean, let's start talking about the transfer window, because that's just depressed me a little bit, to be honest. What's he still doing here, for Christ's sake? What is he still doing here? So the transfer window, it kicked off today. There's another little bit of you know that Sullivan's been throwing starting under the bus for months now. I think people are starting to listen. He's stunk the place out. I think he's signed a striker in Fulkrug who he didn't know. It's the wrong striker. It's a bad signing. Don't get me wrong. Completely the wrong type of player. But he will score goals and he will make assists and he will do that sort of stuff if ever he gets a chance and if he stays uninjured, right? I think that aside, he signed Guilherme. Really, there are his two signings. It was probably the wrong time to make a signing like Guilherme, really, in hindsight, because we've got to... We had to rebuild that team almost from scratch, didn't we? And that ain't a time where you buy players for the future. It's a time when you buy players for now.
Absolutely.
And so I do agree that I wouldn't quite say stunk the place out, but one thing that really bothers me is that he does make a habit of falling out with managers. Yeah. Managers that he don't hire. Well, the thing is, if you're going to be successful at West Ham, you're never going to hire the manager. So you better get used to it. Now, Sullivan said he's having nothing to do with the transfer window, but he's basically cited those two examples of Fulkrug, who unfortunately got injured, so he hasn't got as much game time as perhaps he might, and also Guilherme. They've been cited as abject failure of the director of football because I think everybody else has been signed. Guido Rodriguez is a signing of Lopetegui, who's been utter rubbish. Soler has had 2 good games. You could say that's a bad signing, really. Who else? Kilman is the success. He is the success. Wan-Bissaka is the success. Now, I don't know who chose Wan-Bissaka. I don't know. And I don't know who chose Somerville. Word on the street is it was Sullivan. Again, you could argue with Somerville that it was a season too early to be signing, again, one for the future like that, in exactly the same way as we signed Guilherme, right?
Do you know, just while you mentioned Guilherme, I just want to kind of raise a point on this because I know I said something in the last video that we did around that perhaps he's not good enough. That's not necessarily and I just want to kind of clarify this, it's not necessarily my opinion that he's not good enough. I just look at this kind of objectively, and if you look at the situation, you're talking about a player that costs 25 million, basically at a club whereby a manager who likes to make substitutions, he'll make 5 substitutions per game, no problem. But Guilherme very rarely gets a look in. Okay, you've got 10 minutes against Liverpool. Very rarely gets a look in. So if you look at it objectively, you can certainly say, well, perhaps Lopetegui does not believe that he's good enough, and perhaps he just is not good enough right now. But that does not mean to say that he may not be good and come good in the future. Again, could be, like as you said, Gal, one for the future. But, I don't believe for one second. People say, they're not playing this player for political reasons. Do you honestly think, right, if we had a world beater, like let's say Guilherme is this next best thing from Brazil, and he's going to add a significant amount of value to West Ham if he played that first step, do you honestly think Lopetegui is not going to play him just for political reasons? I don't believe that for a second.
No, probably not. Probably not.
He's going to want to win fucking games, mate. Come on. He doesn't want to lose games, Lopetegui. As clueless as he may be, and we may think he is, he would surely start his best players. I know there's going to be arguments around here, but he's not playing, Kudus on the right, he's playing him on the left, and blah, blah, blah. I get all of that, but he's in a situation whereby he's kind of overloaded with right-sided players, right? Kudus, Bowen, Guilherme, he's got that there already. He doesn't really have a great deal on the left, apart from, Somerville. So is Somerville ready? To your point, maybe he's not, so we stick Kudus there, because you can't drop Kudus based on talent and ability alone. You can't. And you can't drop Bowen either. But I do think with the Guilherme situation, maybe he's just not good enough right now, Gal. I do sometimes feel, and I've said this to you before, and maybe my expectations have gone down a little bit, mate, but I don't think we're as good as some people seem to think we are. And I hold my hand up and say at the start of the season, I genuinely thought, we're going to go for Europe. We've won the transfer window. We've added to what was an existing decent core of a team. But I'll be honest, I think I got it wrong, mate. I don't think. I think we've got some good individuals.
I don't know, Chris. I don't know. I think we've got an okay team, actually. I don't think it's well beaten by any stretch of the imagination, but I think this team should finish quite easily in the top 10.
Yeah.
If you had a striker and another couple of pieces to that, which maybe we could, then you might turn it into a European challenging team. But what we've got is a manager who doesn't know how to make the best uses of the resources available to him. And so that's a bit of a problem. And I think...
But I know what you're saying, Gary, but I do think that aside from maybe 3 or 4 class players, we do have quite a few average players in our team as well. You're right. I think we should finish in the top 10. If we had a good manager, we should arguably finish in the top 10 based on the collective talent amongst that first 11 or squad. But I do think that perhaps I felt, and many other West Ham fans also maybe even still feel now that we are perhaps better than what we are. I think we are probably a 10th place type of team right now, Gary. We're not a Europe. I don't think we're good enough for European football, mate. I don't. I think we've got players that undoubtedly could play in the Champions League and are good enough for the Champions League. But collectively, as a team, I don't think we're a top 7 team, mate. I don't.
Yeah, I think let's. Yeah, no, I know. At the moment, I think we struggle to be a top 10 team at the moment. I think we've got the players to be a top 10 team, but I don't think we've got the manager to orchestrate those players properly to become a top 10 team. That's my point. He's underperforming massively, like your stats just demonstrated. You know, you can do better with this group of players. I'll give you one example, which I heard recently, which I think is a really interesting point. I was very anti-Moyes last year. But we spent a lot of the season having a go at Moyes for playing Paqueta wide left, saying free him up, play him in the middle, let him flourish, let him express himself. The fact is, he did far better playing for Moyes under a disciplined regime where he had to stay on the left and had to get back to defend than he has done, given a massively free role, which is what he's got under Lopetegui. So maybe with the likes of Paqueta, it's a manager like Moyes that gets the best out of him, or another manager that inflicts some discipline on him. And I think that's true for quite a few players. You know, I mean, you can't discipline Alvarez. He's just like, he does his own thing, doesn't he? But yeah, I don't think he's got the best out of hardly anyone, apart from Kilman. It surprises me that people who are having a go at Kilman, because I think what they do is what we're inclined to do as a fan base, and I don't know why this is, but and I don't know whether you're saying Kilman Cartles responding to someone, Chrissy, or you're calling him a Cartles, I don't know, but someone in the comments obviously called him a Cartles. So that's very topical for me, because I think he's been our best player of the season by quite a long way so far, consistently delivering good performances. You know, Bowen, well, maybe Bowen is on a level, but from a defensive point of view, you know, you look at Wan-Bissaka, who's been really, really good in patches, but often found himself up the pitch. He's been disciplined. He's cut out a lot of last minute. He's done a lot of last minute defending. I think in people's heads, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, like people aligned Souček with Moyes, saying, oh, it's his man, so therefore we hate Moyes, so therefore we must hate Souček. I think some people are doing that with Kilman. We hate Lopetegui, therefore we must hate Kilman. And it shouldn't work like that, because he's a football player in his own right, a good one.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if that's how people are thinking. I think that if you look and you break the season up into like 5 games, you know, first 5 games of the season, Kilman was arguably our best player. Everyone was saying, what a great player. You know, his distribution was fantastic. He was making some great, tackles and blocks. He was really good. I think in truth, and he'd probably be the first one to admit this himself, probably over the course of the last 5 or 6 games, he's not been at that level that he was for the first 5 or 6 games. He has regressed a little bit, but he's slowly got back into a bit more form in the last couple of games. So I don't understand the grief that he gets, because he's also playing next to Mavropanos, and he's also being exposed considerably because we play such high, fullbacks. And I think
Emerson leaves him exposed all the time, doesn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think there's always context behind the reasons why some of these players aren't, maybe performing well, or perceived to be not performing well, because I do feel that he's been, he's getting a bit of a tough time. He's getting exposed a lot. He really is.
Yeah. I was just surprised by that, because I think not everything is. I mean, we're negative about the manager. We want him gone, but I think you got to judge the players on their merits and what they do. And like Troz just said, there, he's a solid 6 out of 10. Quite often earlier in the season, he was an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but he always gives a 6 out of 10
England in the first 5 games, Gary. This is how fickle fans can be. Do you remember that? They're like, why you should be in the England squad? How is it Braithwaite's getting there and not Kilman? People were saying
it's funny.
That.
Yeah, people were saying paid too much for him, and then because it was Lopetegui's man. Then he plays a couple of games, plays blinding, and people said, "Oh, we got a bit of a bargain." Now they're back to saying, "Oh, he's a bit expensive, wasn't he?" I don't think he was expensive. I've got to be honest. You don't. He's exactly. Hopefully, he'll be a defender who can play for any manager, and he'll just continue to do well. But I like him. He's a good mature defender. Right, let's go. Let's talk about transfers, because there's been so many links, and this is going to be. We're going to try and do daily shows where we cherry pick. Just pre-records. Me and Chris, we're going to take it in turns. But let's go through the current really incredible transfer rumours and gossip that we've got at the moment. I'm not going to go through them all because there's too many. But we'll start off with Mohamed Kudus, who's been linked to Arsenal and Liverpool for between 85 and 100 million. Noah Atabolu, who's a goalkeeper who plays for Freiburg for 10 million euros, 22, prone to errors, apparently, but very dominant in his box and young, so he can be developed. Yuri Alberto, Internazionale, Inter Milan, 25 million, striker, age 23, Brazilian. I mean, pros and cons with him, but he's still young. It says his pace is skillful forward, but then again, I've been told that he ain't got that much pace, so I don't know which one to believe there. Emmanuel Latte-Lath, who plays for Middlesbrough, Carrick's Middlesbrough, 15 million euros, came through the French system with Paris Saint-Germain, Le Havre, etc., and Nice. Now, describe him, Chris.
Well, I can only describe him off the basis of maybe one or two games I've seen him play. I thought he looked pretty decent. You know, pretty electric, fast. I would say a dynamic type of forward-thinking player. Well, he's a forward player. But yeah, he's probably one of Borough's best players for sure. He's he can finish. He's got pace. I mean, he's probably that sort of player that would probably be suited to the Premier League. But I don't know, mate. I mean, it's so hard to tell. You know, you get some players that obviously can make it. You get some players that genuinely can't. And who knows? It could be one of those types of Ben Rama type of gambles or something. I couldn't tell you, mate. You know,
I said I'd do it, and I've done it. I've put right. This is because we're discussing transfers. Your comments are now just going to appear. So I'm trusting you lot. I'm trusting you lot not to blow up the comments.
Very dangerous.
So do it for a while. I know. So the next link is Evan Ferguson.
Yeah.
Evan Ferguson, who is he's being touted at like 60 million. At 60 million, and I don't think that we're paying anywhere near 60 million. It might be a loan. It's being touted as a loan, right, for until the end of the season, which I think, given his injury record, is probably the right thing to do, isn't it? Breis Mendes, Celta Vigo, midfielder, box-to-box midfielder, 25 years old, from Real Sociedad. There might be a deal to be done there with Real Sociedad. Oh, no. Real Sociedad is where Aguerd's gone. Aguerd is another one who Real Madrid are interested in. So there might be a deal to be done there. I don't know whether it's now or in the summer, but he's done really well so far. Maybe we could throw in Maxwell Cornet as well, because he's going to be back hovering around. You know, he's still got 2 years to run after this season.
It's a disaster signing, mate, Maxwell Cornet. But, with regards to Aguerd, why can't we bring him back, mate? Because we have nothing in defence in terms of reinforcements and backups, do we? We've got, who have we actually got? Casey and Mavropanos if Todibo starts with Kilman, or vice versa. So I think we do actually need a defender, and it's amazing that he's doing incredibly well over in La Liga. Why can't we bring him back? Is that just out of the question?
I don't know. It's maybe I don't know. Edison Alvarez is being touted. What do you think? Now, I've seen this reported in many different places. We know he wanted to go Man United. We know he was only looking at West Ham as a sort of as a temporary, as a way to grow his profile and then get his big move. And he wants to go Man United last summer. I wouldn't be disappointed to see Alvarez go, but it needs to be replaced.
Oh, yeah, he definitely needs to be replaced. But we need that replacement now. Even if he stays, we need someone in the middle of the park, right? So it's not about replacing him. We need absolutely reinforcements in the 6th position and in the 8th position and arguably the 10 position. I think they're just absolutely critical for us moving in this window. Don't see that happening, to be honest with you. But I would like for us to get a box-to-box midfielder, a proper box-to-box midfielder. I don't think we've got one of those at the moment, mate. I don't. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. So we've got Nicholas Füllkrug being linked to Juventus. There's quite a few links with Juventus here. We're also being linked with a signing of box-to-box midfielder who was banned for 7 months. I'm not sure why. Maybe someone in the audience can tell me. Called Nicola Fagioli. No-nonsense midfielder, very fast box-to-box. So there's that. There's also a link with Emerson. Emerson wants to go to Juventus, but I think that's recycling of an old bit of room.
That was last season. That was the beginning of it. Was.
So I think people are recycling stuff here. But then there's also Nicholas Füllkrug being linked with Juventus. So maybe there's a deal to be done there with one or two players going one way and something the other way. Because we know that they're not flush with money, right? Juventus. We've already covered Aguerd. Lucas Paqueta and his potential return to Brazil. I don't know whether that's going to be to sidestep the March inquiry, but that's Flamengo and Botafogo he's been linked to over there still. We know he wanted to go there in the summer. He's playing like he don't give a toss at the moment. I've got to be honest. That's my opinion. It might not be true, but it's my opinion. I think he's got to go. I think we would be better without him if we could bring another player in, a playmaker, a proper number 10, because he ain't really a number 10, is he? He's a bit of a... We're prizing him into that position, aren't we? Here's a bit of interesting transfer gossip. I think you'll all like this. There are 3 players that we've been linked with in recent seasons through Tim Stuyton. They are Angel Gomez, who is former Man United box-to-box midfielder. He's actually English, even though he don't sound English. You got Jonathan David, who obviously we've been linked with every season, God knows when, and Jonathan Tah of Leverkusen. We remember him. So those 3 players available on a free in the summer, and potentially their clubs might be open to a cheeky offer in January.
So the issue I've got with this was not so much an issue, right? Jonathan Tah, I think he's a solid defender, but he doesn't have a great deal of pace. So first off, that's a concern to me, because that's exactly what we lack at centre-back right now. We don't have any pace in our defence. So for me, that's a non-starter. I don't see why we would look to bring him in. I think he's a good defender, but as I say, for those reasons, I don't think he'd be the best fit. Jonathan David, we're going to be linked with him until he's about 35, and then we'll probably sign him on a free transfer. That's probably more likely to happen. I just can't see him coming to West Ham. I'd love for him to come. I've seen him play quite a few times. He's a really good player, but frankly, I'm a bit sick and tired of seeing us being linked to players frequently, season after season, that we never sign, Gary. Like, it happens all the time, mate. It's so annoying, particularly with strikers. Always linked with these big name strikers. And as soon as, push comes to shove, do we sign them? Do we? Hell, we end up with Nicholas Fulkrug. We end up with, Sebastian Haller. We end up with, those types of players. We never get that number 1 or even number 2 target. It's always like the 3rd or 4th or 5th choice. And that's what bothers me. I always take these striker links with a pinch of salt if they're big names. And Jonathan David is a big name striker who will do well.
Yeah. People didn't want Milenkovic due to the pace. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, Tar, I quite like him. I've got to be honest. What's that? Hold on a minute.
He's physical. He's a good defender in that respect. It's the lack of pace that concerns me, mate. That's what bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. There's also a comment there that said Gomez is more lightweight than Somerville. He can't be, can he?
Well, they play in different positions.
As lightweight.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen him play for England, and to me, he looks like a good player. I didn't know a great deal about him, to be honest with you, until he put on an England shirt. I know that he's playing in France. He's ex-Man United for the youth team. So, of course, he's got to be a decent player. I can't imagine he's not a decent player. I'd take him in, no problem. I don't know enough about him, in all honesty.
Thank you for keeping it clean, people, in the chat, by the way. This is working quite... I quite like this, actually. It's quite a good layout, isn't it? Yeah. 40 mil for Kilman was never a bargain. I don't know, Dave. I think it was. English, pretty young, and at the top of his game, and the Wolves captain. Don't know.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah.
I think he's...
it's too early. It's too early. He's playing in a crap team. So let's wait until he's playing in a good team, judging them. I think that's the right thing to do, isn't it? Yeah. So what else we got then? We've got a rubbish rumour, I reckon, for Shay Charles, who is a 21-year-old who plays for Southampton, who's currently on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I don't know why we would buy him now. It smacks of one for the future, like Guilherme.
Of course it does. I saw that link as well myself today. Again, I don't know enough about the guy. I don't, and he's not going to be one for now. He's going to be one for the future if we sign him. So he's one of those ones that why we're even talking about him. Do you know what I mean? I want to be talking about players that are actually going to come in and add value straight away, as opposed to the guys that are going to sit on the bench or play on the 23s.
Yeah. I think we might get, by the way, this is something that someone suggested the other week, and that is Mavropanos has actually been quite a regular feature of our team in the Premier League. He ain't done well. He's made a load of mistakes. But he's been a regular feature playing in the Premier League. He ain't been bombed out and sitting on the bench as a bench warmer. You probably would get 15 to 20 million for him, I reckon. I know
And
he's on a high wage. He's on a high wage. How much do you reckon we get for Alvarez? It's got to be a 25-30, isn't it?
Alvarez, definitely, I'd say he's got to be a £25 million player. I think with
Yeah.
regards to Mavropanos, I can't see us getting much more than 10 million for him, mate. I think we'd be lucky if we got 10 million for Mavropanos. Don't see us getting any more than that. Don't.
Yeah,
It
maybe.
It depends what league you're going to put him in, right? Because I don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I don't. I think he's suited to a much more kind of a passive, slower type of football. Maybe in France, maybe in Spain, but definitely not suited to the Premier League.
It's an interesting one from Randy. Gary and Chris, what's the bare minimum for you both to consider this window being a success? What do you reckon? You go first.
It's an interesting question because I think it also depends on who we sell, because that's going to have an impact with regards to what I would see as being a success. Right. So let's say hypothetically we let go of Kudus or we let go of Alvarez, then you would suspect that Kudus in particular would give us enough money to go out there and sign some big players. If we end up playing, I don't know, signing a 10, 15 million pound sort of relatively unknown striker, I'm not going to be happy. But I think in terms of positions, I can only say it from a position point of view. I think we definitely need a striker. We definitely need, I'd say, maybe one or possibly two midfielders, central midfielders. And for me, I think we need a centre-back as well. That, for me, would represent a successful January transfer window. But I'm talking about players that are going to come in and impact the team, the first 11, immediately. Right? I don't want people on the side of that. We need people to come in and add value straight away. That's what I would see. How about you?
I don't think we're buying Soler. I think people got a bit excited because he had 2 games, and we're sort of going, "Oh, can we buy him out now before he changes his mind?" I don't think we're going to be panicking and buying him. I'll be surprised. He's not a priority at the moment. We've got him till the end of the season anyway.
And not for the money they wanted as well, Gary. If they wanted 20, 25 million, that's a lot of money for a midfielder. It
really
is for us.
It's too much.
Right
it's
now.
too much.
Yeah.
Mark Pendleton says Mavropanos looks playing for Greece. Looks great playing for Greece. Yeah, he does. But then again, international football's much slower, isn't it? It's much slower. Howie's fab. I think he'll be back when he next game.
Yeah, it's just a concussion thing, wasn't it? So he can't play by default if the injury is sustained.
Standard procedure, isn't it? To have them to. Right. There's one more link that I haven't covered, and that is Fikayo Tomori. Italian media, few articles on this. AC Milan, 21 million, 27-year-old former Chelsea and City centre-back. Apparently a very, 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 very good player, apparently.
No, absolute no-brainer, Gal. I would take him now, honestly. If I could swap out Mavropanos and maybe one other for him, I'd take him, because he's someone that definitely fits the mould of what would work well at West Ham. He's a good defender. He's got a bit more pace as well. I like him, mate. No brainer.
Him alongside Kilman would be so impressive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate.
If then we could get a new left back, because I'd say, listen, if Emerson wants out to Juventus, it's a perfect time to cut your ties and go get another left back who can also play as a wing back, and maybe get one that can cross as well. He's done well for us. I don't want to put him down, but he's being found out more and more now, in my opinion. Emerson. So let me just answer. What would I consider to be a successful window? I think we've got to get rid of some of these players. I would like to see, personally, Kudus go. I don't think we need 2 right wingers, and we do have them with him and Bowen. I don't think we need to. So I think we could actually sell him and take the profit and use it elsewhere in the team. Obviously, we're going to be missing Bowen for a while, but these deals are not going to happen quickly anyway. I'd make more use of Somerville. I'd also make more use of Guilherme until Bowen comes back. The ones that I'd like to see moved on, Guido Rodriguez. We need to replace him like for like with another central defensive midfielder. I would say the same about Alvarez as well. After he did what he did and got sent off twice, not appearing to give a toss, to me that is the mark of the player. I'm not really bothered about him. I loved him last year. I absolutely loved him. So I think we've got to swap out these important parts, the ones that have been a problem for us. Kudus has been a problem. He went missing for 5 games. Alvarez has been a problem. Rodriguez has been. Füllkrug is a problem. If we can get money for Füllkrug, I would get another striker. We need another striker anyway. So I think we need a busy window here. And last but not least, I'd love to see us move Paqueta on, but only. See, these are all good players, and it's like getting rid of all of the quality. But they haven't been quality for us this season. But they've probably just held down a place when they shouldn't have. If we can move them on and bring in some money, I think we need to do our deals first to bring the players in before we let them go.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and I think we all know the positions that we need to strengthen. But I suppose, yeah, it's hard to say what we would deem as being a successful window based on potentially who may leave the club, because that will have a huge impact on what our expectations would be in terms of who we want to bring into the club. So, but yeah, I'm with you with the Kudus thing. It's mad that we're saying this, really, when you think, because Kudus for us, like last season, we'd be probably crying at the thought of losing Kudus, because we know what a talent he is. But the fact is, mate, I saw a clip on, it might have been TikTok or Instagram or something earlier on. It was Kudus at the Liverpool game, mate. And it was when he set up a chance for Bowen, when he swung in a cross from the right-hand side and Bowen got his head on it, but it was never going to go in. I think Alisson just basically, caught it very, very easy. But Kudus's bit of control that he did was very similar to what Paqueta's done on a couple of occasions. He jumps in the air and he kind of hits it on the other foot behind his leg. And I'm like, your comment that you made the other day about wiggling his arse or whatever, kind of whoring himself out to the Liverpool manager, it's absolutely spot on, because why the fuck are you doing that? I can't remember what the score was at that particular point, but regardless, I think we were losing. We were under the cosh, whatever it was. Why are you doing that against Liverpool? So for me, he is an individual. He's not a team player. He has to go. Like, when you see that shit, it annoys me. I want to see players playing as a team, for the team. And he's not doing that, mate. And it's so sad to see that, he has no allegiance to West Ham, let's be honest. He doesn't. And I get it, he's a talented lad, so maybe he wants to make the best of his career, but I don't like seeing that type of thing in games. I really dislike it.
I think I didn't get to Guido, did I? Guido wants out. He's been saying it for weeks. He wants out. He wants back to Betis. Yeah. 3 million. 3 million we want for him, because that's the signing on fee that we paid for him. And basically he started saying he wanted out within a couple of weeks of joining, which is pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Same as this is why I've lost. There's so many players who we seem to have no affinity with. All those ones I've just listed, but Füllkrug especially, because he knows that when he writes something in the German press, it's going to be open to interpretation, whether he meant it or the way it's been printed or whatever. He should be old enough and wise enough. He's 31, for God's sake, to know that that's a mistake and it's going to get respun. People are going to be selective what words they use. But it won't shut him up. He keeps talking. He keeps talking about what a difficult place and how difficult it's been to settle down, and giving these cryptic clues. So I don't know. Over 26 max, says Daniel. I'd go for that. I don't think it's going to happen though. Got to be honest. Somerville, AWB, and Bowen all play with pure passion. So does Suchek, actually, and love for the club. These guys are everything. Even Soufal, who's finished. Those 5, they play with passion for the club. I'm sure that Kilman does as well, And Mavropanos tries his best. It's just that he's prone to an error. But in the duels, the one-to-one duels, which is his strength, he done pretty well. It's just that he can't do the rest of it. He tries to carry the ball out and tries to emulate what Kilman does. No, don't go there. So I think that there's certain people. I don't think it's like 50% of the team. Paqueta really hacks me off, which is why I came back from that game the other day. I was fuming, because just watch him, get the ball, play it first time, don't really care what happens to it. He's basically giving the ball away. Soler didn't turn up. Alvarez he looked all right first half. Yeah, he looked all right, but really there were moments in that first half that he didn't look all right. What you notice when you kind of look at the analysis of a game, you realise that they're so ill-disciplined in the middle that when one doesn't pick up their man, another one has to cover for them, and the other one has to cover for them. It's like a domino effect. And so maybe there's just 1 or 2 pieces that are really ill-functioning at the moment, and if you replace those pieces, it all comes together. I don't know. Not under Lopetegui, though, for God's sake.
Yeah, no, definitely not under Lopetegui, because I don't see players covering
I'm talking about
players
the players
most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't really see that on the pitch, Gary. I don't. And like the other day, I was really kind of quite upset after the Liverpool game, because I, like most fans, felt numb after that game. Like, your emotion just kind of goes a little bit. And it's even like when we conceded, it used to actually really pain me, and it still does. Of course, it hurts, right? But if we concede 3, 4, 5, 6, but it gets to that point now when you watch West Ham that I honestly feel, and I don't know if this kind of resonates with you, but I do feel quite numb. Like, when one goes in, I course I care.
Oh
But
yeah.
I can't even articulate what I mean. But it's such a weird feeling when you sat there in the stand and you see these goals going. You're like, there's another one. And I literally
used
sat
to
down
hurt,
on my
didn't
seat and
it?
laughed.
Yeah.
But it did, and you'd be like absolutely venting and fuming. But now I'm like,
Yeah.
I turn around and laugh, right? And I'm laughing sometimes, like laughing out of annoyance, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started watching like stuff online, and I was watching other channels and I was watching other content around, how West Ham fans were feeling. And I must admit, and I said to you, didn't I, in our group chat the other day, it does not feel to me in any way, shape, or form like the club that I grew up with. It feels like I'm supporting a different club now because of everything that little fucking midget's done to this team, to this club, shall I say.
I know.
And I know we can't always talk about the past and everything else, but it's so hard not to when you go through these moments and all of those promises. Oh, we're going to take you to a world-class stadium and you're going to be a world-class team and you're going to be Champions League. Now, of course, look, we know it's going to take time to get to that point, right? But we all subscribed to that notion and thought, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We've had a good last season at the Upton Park, and perhaps now we're going to move on to something bigger and better. We've won a trophy, yes, we have. But is that enough to say, yeah, we're really happy with this move? No, it's not. It's not, because it's a style of football, the brand of football, the fact that we always seem to be more so in the bottom half than we are in the top half, competing with the top 5 or 6. We had it for a few seasons under Moyes, but apart from that, we've not really done that, have we? Look under Bilic, you look under Pellegrini and so on. It's never been, we've not had that consistency of being in the top 8, which we should be, because that's what we were promised. We were promised top 4. But I think West Ham fans would be more than happy with top 8, but we're not getting that. And it's so frustrating, Gary. And I sometimes I actually forget about those promises, because we used to go into the London Stadium now, aren't we? We turn up to that stadium every week. You sometimes forget about that stuff. It's when you're really going through the shit like we're going through now, and being bored shitless with the level of performances we're getting week in, week out, you go back and you think about these things that these guys said, and you think, fuckers, like, you've literally ripped the fucking heart and soul out of this club, and you continue to fucking suck blood out of this club every game, week in, week out, and of the fans, right? And it's infuriating. And I must admit, I got really wound up over this over the last few days. I started to reminisce and think back, and it's, I don't know, man. I don't really know what to say anymore about it. Everyone's said the same thing. It's just it's gut wrenching, isn't it, to see what's going on?
Yeah, it is. So a few more comments, and I think we call it a day, because that's been quite a long show already. So this is the first transfer update of the new year. Like I said, we're gonna, honestly, if there's no transfer news or we're just repeating the same old stuff, we won't do a show, but we're going to aim to do one every day anyway, just a short one. We're going to alternate, take it in turns between me and Chris, just to bring you, same format and all that. There was a comment in there, by the way, about, do you think it's a mistake to sell Kudus? No, because Kudus, I think, is a wonderful player, and he will go. It's like having Messi playing for you, right? You know how good the guy is and what he's capable of, and when you transplant him into a top team, he will become a top player. He'll be world class. He'll probably end up playing for Real Madrid. He's that good. We know that. But is he producing that for West Ham? No, he isn't. Same goes for Paqueta. I wouldn't say he's world class, but he is better than what we're seeing. Same for Alvarez. There are a few players who just
they're good players, but if they're not here, if their heart's not playing for West Ham, then get them gone. That's just right. I don't think there's any other way of looking at it. Why would you retain a talent if they're not really putting in the shift, putting in the effort every single week and playing?
There's no point. There's no point. You get half a player, right? Have we got the real Lucas Paqueta at the moment? No, we haven't. We've been mugged off.
Not a shadow.
Right, so he's just a name for us at the moment. He's a name that other teams fear, and maybe that gives us something. But I'd rather go and get someone, of high quality. We've been missing ever since we were linked with Fofana and God knows who else. We've needed this body in midfield, or bodies in midfield, since before Moyes left, under the Moyes regime. We ended up with bloody Calvin Phillips, didn't we?
I'm really intrigued to see how this month goes, January, with regards to potential incomings, outgoings, whatever. Because if we do not make decent signings, Gary, we could be in real danger. You talk about Bowen being out for 6 to 8 weeks. You talk about Antonio out for the season. You talk about Fulkrug not being the one up front. We lack depth across the team. We do. So if we don't make signings, mate, we could be in trouble. I know we say that there are 3 crap teams in the Premier League. We get that, right? And we could arguably say that we don't fall amongst those. I could also say that based on those statistics that I shared with you earlier, we actually do, because our defence is far worse than most teams throughout the whole course of 2024. It is. It's worse than Luton Town's. You know what I mean? It's awful, mate. The fourth
Chrissy,
highest amount of goals.
Chrissy, what do you mean? What game are you watching? I mean, he was good against Liverpool the other day in the first half. He was all right in the second half. He's been hot and cold this season. He ain't been the real Kudus. This ain't a Kudus. We know how good Kudus is. So him putting in half performances doesn't fool me, I'm afraid. I know what he's capable of, and I know that he's not doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
so each to their own. You have your opinion.
If you're watching Kudus against Liverpool, you can say, yeah, he would play great against Liverpool. Yeah, he did. But for what reason? For what reason was he doing that? For what reason was he showboating and pulling for those stupid things? Right? Exactly. What was he doing that for? You know, it's because he's putting himself in the shop window. He has no intention of sticking with West Ham. He doesn't. He doesn't want to be here. He wants to go elsewhere.
We mentioned of Irving, by the way. I thought he'd done really well when he came on. I've mentioned him already, but honestly, must be demoralising to sit on the bench and stuff like that and never get a look in. And he every time he comes on, he doesn't screw up, does he?
Well, yeah, he's not had a load of game time, has he? In all honesty, so
say
he's screwed up. He's not really had enough time to screw up. In truth,
no, he ain't. So this is our chance to get Somerville starting and Guilherme getting decent minutes now with Bowen is happy. Yeah, I totally agree. I just hope that Somerville steps up, because we know he's got the talent. We know he ain't really got the physicality, but maybe some of the games that are coming up, he's not playing against beasts like he was against Liverpool. And he actually did all right against Liverpool as well, didn't he?
Who's that?
I think Somerville.
Yeah.
And I think Kudus played better under Moyes. Yeah, he did. I've got to be honest, and so did Paqueta. But then again, Paqueta was rubbish for the last 6 months of David Moyes. So it kind of undermines what I said earlier, really, to be honest. Paqueta is showboating all the time, and so is Kudus. He's always, to my mind, Paqueta gets the ball. A lot of the time, he doesn't even look up. He'll just play a first-time ball, like the other night, where it just went to the keeper. He'll try it. 1 in 20, 1 in 30 will come off. It won't stop him doing it, you know. It won't stop him doing it. I hate it. We're not in a position where we can do showboating. We're not that good. It's all opinions. What's showboating? It's when they try saying they shouldn't. You know, little
unnecessary skills that aren't really not needed at all. You could be no man around him, no opponent around him for 5-10 yards or whatever, and he's doing some stupid piece of skill. That's what showboating is. No need, not necessary.
Don't blame the fool on the manager. Kudus. He's playing on the left when he's left-footed. Yeah, he is left-footed, but usually in these systems, the left foot plays on the right and the right foot plays on the left, don't they? But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been a disaster on the left, but I don't think you're going to get the best out of him. But it's a choice of him playing on the right or Bowen, and who's going to get that? It would be Bowen. Well, now he gets his chance, doesn't he? So we shall see. We shall see, shouldn't we?
I hope I'm wrong about all this stuff with Kudus. I mean, I'd love it if he turned it on and was incredible and wanted to stay for us for the season, but I doubt that's the case.
Should we have a quick prediction fest? I'm going to put the overlay on so that people can give their predictions. All right. This is Man City on Saturday.
Oh.
So give us your predictions. So I'm going 6-0 to City.
6-0? Bloody hell, mate. Are you serious?
Yeah, because I think we let goals in for fun. We fold like a pack of cards.
I know we do.
We get more nervous as soon as we let a few in. We know we're going to give City probably 20 chances. How many of them they get a score?
Yeah, I'm not going with 6-0.
Go on. What are you going with?
Joking. I'm going to go with like maybe 4-1, 3-1, 4-1, something like that. Mate, not that they said any better, but yeah, 6-0. I mean, that's.
I think they're going to be angry. I think they're going to be angry and really want to put down a marker, and they're going to smell blood on this one, and they're going to. And I think when the 6th goal goes in, I want to see a conga from the away fans.
Mate,
it's been a long time since we saw.
If we lose 6-0 to City, I'm sorry, Lopetegui has to go. I don't care that he's City. That's another 6 goals we're conceding. There's no version of this where that's acceptable. He's got to go, and we think he's got to go now, mate. But to concede another 6 goals. No,
I know. What is this? What is this nonsense? Rex is outbidding me. You're having a laugh, Rex, aren't you? Where is he? Where's it gone? He's gone 7. He's gone 7.
Jesus, nah.
God, no, I'm not going to go 7.
3-1 to City, 3-1 to City, and our goal's going to come off someone's fucking arse or something. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it probably will. But I can't see, is anyone going to go for a West Ham win or a draw? I think someone went for a 2-2 earlier, didn't they? I just think that it's been so long since they've had a big win. And with Man City, that can put the train back on the tracks, right? Yeah. It can build up it can start worrying the other teams a little bit again. So I think they will take a chance with us really weakened. I think 6-0 is not over the top when you bear in mind Liverpool, who didn't get out of second gear, could have beat us 7 or 8. They missed 2 chances in the first 6 minutes, right?
No, look, it's quite realistic. It just, I suppose I'm just kind of like, again, I just like to think that hopefully 3-1 is going to be the worst it's going to get.
Yeah. We're going to save ourselves for the FA Cup on the Friday, aren't we?
Yeah, that one I don't see us winning either, to be honest.
Sorry, Chrissy's gone. We will beat City. What do you base that on, Chrissy? So,
hope you're right.
Yeah. But anyway, look, I think we're all not seeing anything out of City, are we? I mean, there's few people. Listen, we'd all love to see it. I'll never get to this point where I want to see West Ham lose just to get the manager sacked. So I can't wish that we lose. I hope that we win. I just don't think we will. I think we're going to be rolled over. We just look crap at the moment. Our confidence is taking a battering every time we get one of these spankings. So yeah, a lot of people play 10 across the back.
Let's just hope that whoever comes in for Bowen, if it is Guilherme or someone else or whatever, if Guilherme plays or Somerville starts playing, that they're going to see this as an opportunity to really stamp their mark on this team. Let's just hope that's going to happen. But
he doesn't do this, does he? I mean, Lope has to make some big changes. Our striker right winger, best bloke on the pitch, is out. So square pegs, round holes, fewer square pegs, round holes now. This could show a noticeable difference. It would do if he picks the right people, but it's system over everything, and he seems to operate the same squad seniority thing that Moyes did, where it's the last. Doesn't matter if he's got a right winger, if he's got a central midfielder who's a more senior player, we'll play him on the right rather than play the right winger out there. You know what I mean? That's just what it feels like anyway. That's what it feels like. I reckon a Haaland hat-trick is a dot on the card. Don't you think?
Yeah. I think we both clicked on that comment at the same time. Yeah, I think it's inevitable. It's inevitable that he's going to score. It's just going to be a question of how many.
Yeah, that's right. Right, so let's leave it there, Chris. I think we're what did you predict, by the way?
I said 3-1 to City.
3-1. You gone 3-1 again?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You're lacking imagination these days. You're lacking imagination.
I am, but I'm being realistic with the defeat, right? I think my kind of predictions definitely. I think every week it's a loss, man. I mean, that's just awful, isn't it? The fact I'm predicting losses every week, but I'm trying to be realistic.
Yes, indeed. So, look, if you've watched this video, please subscribe to our channel. There'll probably be more stand on YouTube. We're available on many other platforms as well, even the audio podcast, using your favourite audio podcast platform. Give the video a like, please. And hit the bell notification icon. Until then, we're done. I think we'll do the daily shows when we've got transfer news to talk about, which will hopefully be every day. I can't see it not being every day, given the quantity of stuff that's coming through. It's going to be a nightmare. I think last transfer window, we were linked with 800 players or something, weren't we?
And how many did we sign? Yeah, I mean, we'll have to just wait and see what happens, right? We'll have to wait and see what happens. I think it's going to be a really interesting January. Hopefully interesting as in good interesting, but let's see.
Yeah. So once again, everybody in the chat, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Chris. Let's hope it's a good one. Let's hope that West Ham's fortunes start the year in a much better way than Jared Bowen's fortunes. And on that happy note, see you later. Come on, your wines.